Hey everybody, thank you for joining me. Tonight I'm going to be doing an unboxing of Ravage, Dungeons of Plunder. Just got this one in, and I've actually had a chance to play it a little bit. Played it through a Tabletop Simulator when it was out. This one just made it to my doorstep, so I thought I'd get it out there real quick and show you guys the components and see what you guys think of it. I won't get too far in the weeds here. It is a 1 to 5 player game. Says length is 30 to 90 minutes. I did find that when our first time through, it did take a little bit longer than that, just to as we were learning everything and getting familiar with the rules. It does say 5 player game, but what I have found on that one is that one of the players, if you're going to run all 5, has to play the Overlord character, which is basically the controller of the monsters and the other effects of the dungeon, but they're not actually getting to play one of the heroes per se. This is kind of a different take on dungeon crawls. This is where you're basically one of the bad guys going through the dungeon, and you're just going through as one of the orcs in the game, and you're going through to loot the dungeon and see what you can get out of there. You actually may even come across some other heroes in the game that basically will act as enemies on top of regular enemies that you fight. So here is some of the components of the game, and I'll go through each of those. I just want to show you what the back look like, and it will detail here the game mode you can do is solo. You can do 1 through 5 adventures, and I don't understand why it does say 1 to 5 players with or without an evil overlord, but I may have to look into that. So, and then treachery, where you can actually gang up on each other through the dungeon there and try to get the most points. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get this opened up and see what the components look like inside, so we can check that out. Okay. So just a little pamphlet for their other games. We have the, looks like, rule book here. Seeing all of our components. And then we start right into the rules. Talks our sequence of play, phase 1. Then we go into phase 2. I think there's 5 phases total in the game. And then phase 4. Hero death. Okay, so after that, then it actually gets into the quests here. It talks about the different quests that you can do. This is the one, the Serpents Pit, is the one that we played, or that I've actually had the pleasure of playing over on Tabletop Simulator. That still should be out there, so if you guys want to go check that one out, if you like what you see here, you can go and check that module that is on Tabletop Simulator and see what you think of the game. Looks like 9, 10 quests, 11, so we got about 11 quests, looks like. It talks about alternate game modes, evil overlord mode, alright, treachery mode, okay, solo mode, might have to check that out if I get a chance, might run through a mission or 2 on the channel here. Credits, I know my name is in there, I've actually found it before. I did kickstart it, so I won't tell you which name in there is mine, but you might be able to take a guess. Alright, and then the components here. So, this is just a clarification on some of the components. Alright, so that is the rule book. Okay, this is one of the Orc Heroes, Mazhag Ravenmaw Shaman. Alright, so this is the player board that you get, and this is where you basically track your XP, you track the energy that you used, and these are the teeth. This is like what you're going to use to buy like items, I guess, components in the game. and here you track your health. And these spots are going to be for where you actually place your cards that you decide to take with you into the dungeon. Okay, then we have Gorbash Dreadeye Headhunter, and they do have, some have like special abilities here that you read with each one of the characters. So depending on who you go with, as to what ability. Then we have our third one here, Hawknath Doomblade Berserker. I like that guy. Okay, and then we have our fourth and final hero, or orc, I guess, is Golog Bloodash Cultist. Okay, and then now we start to get into our tokens here. Oh, I guess I'll show you the back here. So these do have a backside here, and these are going to be used in the treachery mode, I believe. Don't quote me on that one, because the only one that we played was the regular adventure mode together. All right, so here's our first set of enemy cards, and these are all the enemies in this game are going to be standees. There's no miniatures, or none that I got. So this is going to be all of our enemies, and they're marked by their level here. So these are level 1, 2, 3, and then these skulls here for the elite. These items here are going to be for the bosses. That icon right there. So that's our first sheet, and they are double-sided. So they pretty much contain the same information on the other side. Here's our next set. So these our green ones here are going to be our Orc Heroes. So these icons are going to match up with, you know, who the hero is. Some more enemies here. These are going to be the heroes that you can actually encounter throughout the dungeon, possibly. So you might have to fight those guys. There's another boss there. And tokens. So we have our treasure tokens, our slime tokens, poison, one of those things. These are our, it's upside down. These look to be our wound tokens. I want to say, yeah, these are our wound tokens here. So 1 on that side, 2 on that. We have our XP counters, our energy counters. These tokens here are nests. These are things you can counter on the dungeon floor. Depends, and I may have something under it, they may not. What do we have? Rank here. These are going to be, I guess, things that we track on the card. I think that's for these where it says rank. I want to say they go here. Okay. So more tokens. Resurrect. This is for stuff on the dungeon floor. These spiders, the broken eggs, the heads, all these things are gonna where you find on the dungeon floor, and we'll kind of look at those tiles here in a minute. Or not tiles, sorry. Those are things that you find on the dungeon floor, which is laid out by cards. Okay, next is, now that's all of our cardboard tokens. Next is we're going to have our dice. So these are the dice that we roll during combat and defense. Depending on what your character's rolling. So for instance, the cultist here on base attacks, they roll 2 dice, 2 blue dice for an attack, and for defense they roll a blue and a purple die. Excuse me. So yeah, that's as many you roll, and you'll have different cards. You know, when you're playing things here that might give you more things for defense, and also might give you more things for an attack. So you'll add those modifiers. You add those dice when it tells you. When you roll this symbol here on an attack or defense, you get to add energy to your character, and this is when you're spending your energy to activate cards that you have, and we'll look at those in a minute. And when you do activate those, when you spend energy, that's when your XP will also go up. So as you spend energy, your XP will go up until you get to the 4th one here, and you'll level up at the end of the phase. When we level up, you'll take one of your skill cards that are all like level 1 start out, and then you'll flip it to whichever one you choose that round, you'll level that one up, and then your XP will reset itself back down to 0. All right, so we have our standee bases here. These are going to be our, what are those for? I can't remember. Let's look at that real quick. I think these are, oh, I think I know what those are for. And let me get the base out so I can use, or the stand up so I can use both of my hands. Okay, so I kind of had to reshuffle a little bit so I can get both use of my hands here. So we'll see what's in this deck of cards. I think there's going to be multiple decks here. Let's get through this. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay. Some of these are going to be special skills, spines, level 2, owlbear powers. Okay, so these are going to be specific bosses. They're going to have their own cards here. So, for instance, the owlbear has its own set of powers. Draw from the Spider Queen here. And these are when you fight the bosses, you draw from their specific deck of cards each time they activate. So they're going to have different ones here. So these are the Warlock. Okay, it's going back here. These are the Vines. I guess I kind of got them mixed up somewhere else. Okay, we'll go back over those. Frenzy. Level 2. Okay, so these are going to be for each one of the characters. This looks like it's going to be for the cultist. These are all cultist cards, as noted by the little icon here. So these are what I was talking about. When you start the game, you have a certain amount of cards that belong to you. I think I may have skipped some of those in there. Mixed up. Okay, so there's some more cultist cards. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So at the beginning of the game, when you start your mission, say, for instance, you're the cultist, you're going to choose, because you only have space for 5 skills, or 5 cards there. But you have definitely more cards that are available to you at the start. So you're going to choose the 5 cards that you want. These are actually level 2 side. Most of them have a level 1 and level 2 side. So if, like, for instance, you choose this card, this will be the one that you take into battle with you. You'll spend 1 energy to get the special ability, which will give you +1 or give you an additional blue dice to roll on your melee attacks. And this is called an improved attack for the cultist. And when you level it up, this is when it becomes a level 2 card, which it gives you more to it than just being a +1 blue dice modifier. So it actually gives you the ability to hit an artery, roll the trap die. If a trap is rolled, add +1 to your attack. So when you're rolling a trap die, you're rolling this dice right here to get a trap symbol. If you don't get a trap symbol, then you didn't get it. But and this also is applicable to traps when you're doing that. So we have our cultist set of cards here. This next one, I can't remember the symbol for him. These look like these are all his cards. The Berserker. No, that's not the Berserker. Berserker is the one with the axe. Okay, this is a what is that one? Shaman. Okay, so these are the Shaman cards. These are going to be the Berserker. Okay. All right. Now we have the Headhunter. These are more of the other ones that I mixed up. This is the Shaman's cards. Headhunter. The Berserker. Okay. So now we have, okay, these are, I'm thinking some of these may be some special cards too, maybe from the Kickstarter. I'm not 100% sure, but I kind of have to look through those and see what we got. Alright, so we have the Druid here, we have the Sorceress, and the Barbarian. These are special cards when you draw from the deck of cards and you bring in one of the heroes. Kind of like acts like an enemy. Well, it does act like an enemy that you have to kind of go through and fight. These are vines. This is one of the Shaman's cards here. Kind of feel like I'm all over the place. All right, so vines, Hell Demon powers. So these are going to be the final set of enemy cards for the enemies that you fight in the game. All right, so next, I guess we have more standees. That's nice. More standee bases. All right, Sneaky Goblin deck. This is the deck of cards that you go through when you basically start the game. You choose two of these, or you draw two of these. These are like nice loot cards, I would say. And also at the end of the round, when you, I think it's Seek Fortune phase, I want to say. These are, okay, maybe there's intermixed here between the Delve cards, probably so. Okay, so these are Sneaky Goblin stuff, and these usually give you some nice things. The teeth cost, earlier we talked about when you gain teeth from killing enemies here. You use those at the end of your round to purchase cards. So you flip over 2 cards to see if you're able to purchase the card for the cost of the teeth. If you can't, then you basically have to put the cards back under the deck and then try again next time if you don't have enough teeth. All right, so we'll go ahead and open up this one. I think that there's more than one deck of cards in here. If I can find the little open part here. All right, so our Delve cards. And there's the rest of the Sneaky Goblins. Okay, so this is going to be our Sneaky Goblin deck here. This is basically our, I won't call it a loot deck, but this is where you do purchase nice things. And to give you an example of some of the things, like Health Potion for 2 teeth. You have Explosive Flask for 3 teeth. Okay, that gives you 6, you can hit something at range 6 with a purple die. And some other things, Poison Dart Trap, so you can target a creature, roll a trap die. If a trap is rolled, they become poisoned, otherwise they take 1 damage. It's nice. Okay, so that is the Sneaky Goblin deck. Then I guess we'll go ahead and start talking real quick about the Delve deck. So this is the deck of cards. Oh, this is another one here. Okay, I'll open up this one real quick. I want to make sure all those are open before I actually start talking about it. Oh, these are sealed nicely. All right. So these are our, so they have more things. Okay. They're not making this easy for me. Try to get all these out. All right. Vines of Galmera. So those are, it's a specific room. We have some more Seek Glory cards here. So I'll put those here. And kind of off screen. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of down below, it did kind of drop. We have, looks like some sequence of play cards, which is nice. Death and Loot. Treachery sequence of play. We have sequence of play of the Evil Overlord. Sequence of play for regular. Okay, so we have those there. Summon Undead. These are going to be for the Cultist. And these are the cards that they actually draw. So that goes with the Cultist player. As you can see the symbol here. Them. Sneaky Goblin. Interesting. Because it looks different than all the other Sneaky Goblin deck. I wonder what that is. Set that over there. Alright, so the Summoning Pit. So in the it's just a regular delve card. Okay, that's unearthed. Okay, Serpents Pit. So when you're drawing the delve cards, it's like one of the very first things you do in the game, or in your turn, in your round, you'll draw a delve card here. Okay, let's not, okay. For instance, if you draw something that looks like this, Serpents Pit, you have to go and find all of the cards that have to do with a Serpent's Pit. So you would set those aside, like the Vines of Galmera. They have their specific cards to set up for that. You have specific cards for the Serpent's Pit. If I can find it. Okay, so our 4 Serpent's Pits card here. All will form that room right here, and you'll lay it out just as it's described here. So your cards here basically become the dungeon. Okay, so as you're laying them out, you're building out the dungeon. Normal cards, however, when you draw them, they won't have any picture on them like this telling you to build a specific room. They're just going to be a card that you lay out. So you're going to lay out a card on the table. I can move this here. So that'll be my first card. The next time somebody lays a card, every card has arrows on it. So for instance, these white arrows are where you can attach another card to, but another card, for instance, like this one, this one only has 3 arrows. So you have to match up at least one of the arrows there with another one. So you wouldn't have been able to put a connection here on this side where there are no arrows. There would be no legal spaces there to do that. But you can pretty much, it can only be, it could be at least 1 arrow or more that attaches up. So as you're moving through, you're still drawing cards, placing them on legal spaces, how you see fit. And some cards will have different things on them, like we have a start card here. Guess I should have started with that one. Things have like a resurrection portal. It's where you resurrect. Other symbols, special healing fountains in the game. So when you get there, you'll place a token on it, wherever you might be able to lay that card down. And so you just keep doing that. And sometimes through the instructions of the game, they'll say there might be a specific chamber in the mission you're playing or the quest, which will instruct you to put this particular card, the Vines of Galmera, in the deck that you're going to be drawing. So as soon as you draw this card, that's when you'll go and find the specific cards here to build the room, as it is laid out here. So this wasn't intended to be a how to play video. This was just kind of showing you the components of it. And then once you've drawn your tiles and placed them on your turn, everybody draws a tile and places it on their turn. You then go to your Seek Glory, and you draw that, and it says, okay, this is who you've encountered. You've encountered a sorceress, so you're going to find the sorceress. Let's use a better example. Let's use a more... So you might find a trap. Okay, so if you find a trap, you're going to roll a trap die and place an unstable pit trap token on your tile. Whenever a creature passes over it, they must roll a trap die. If a trap is rolled, the trap opens and the creature takes 1 damage. Other times you might come across an enemy. So as soon as you draw the enemy here, Skeleton Warrior, level 3, you're going to go find one of the tokens that we pulled earlier. So level 3 Skeleton Warrior would be, that would be level 3 Skeleton Warrior right there. So you will go put it on its base and place it on the tile that you just placed down on the dungeon, unless instructed otherwise that it needs to go somewhere else, but it'll usually say that on the specific card. So that's kind of like Ravage, Dungeons and Plunder in a nutshell. I mean, as far as all the components go. So you'll kind of go through each of the phases, and so phase 1, draw a dungeon tile, place it. Then you go to phase 2, which is the Seek Glory phase, which you draw, see if you've encountered a trap, an enemy, or a hero monster. Then after that, you take your actions. Once you've actually placed everything that you needed to, you go ahead and take your actions, which are listed here. Let's see if I can just sequence of play, regular sequence of play. So your actions are going to be to move, attack, search for plunder once, pick up an item, trade an item, blood tribute. Then you go into bloodshed after you've done your actions. This is when all the enemies that you're engaged with are going to attack. After that, you gather strength. This is when you will spend your XP to level up any of your cards that you have and buy from the Sneaky Goblin deck, which you talked about earlier, which is using your teeth for that. And then you go through that until you complete the scenario, which might be like kill a boss or something else like that. So I haven't read through, but only one of the quests which I've played. So anyway, that's the components here, and I don't really have anything else left to say on that. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions about the game, let me know. It's a really fun game. Like I said, I've played it. I highly recommend it. If you're curious about it, go check it out on Tabletop Simulator and see if it's something that your group would like or would want to play, even for solo play. Like I said, hopefully I'll try to get a mission going here real soon, just to the solo play, see what you guys think of it. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.